Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lex, and I hope you're having a great day. Happy Wednesday if you're listening to this on La La Land Drop Day. We have new episodes every Wednesday if you're new here. And I just have to say thank you so much, you guys. I don't know who is listening. Obviously, like the way podcasts work is you can't see who listens to each episode. You can just see the amount of listens you've had. And so I just wanted to say thank you because each one means so much to me. The podcast has now been live for almost a month, and I am just really trying to hit that 10,000 downloads. That's like the first real big step in podcasting, and we're over halfway there. So it would just mean the world to me if you've been loving the podcast, if it's made you smile, if it's had an impact on you at all. I mean, literally, even if it's just like, if it's just something that you think is fun and you think that people might enjoy it, it would mean the world to me if you shared it. If you just share a screenshot on your stories and tag me, that would mean the world. I would love it. Really exciting news. I'm excited because next week we have my best friend Kinsey on the podcast. She is a business coach. She's a mindset coach. She's just like good at everything and one of the most just authentic. It's like that quote, you know, that quote that was like, she was so herself that she inspired you to be more yourself, something like that. Like she was so much herself that she inspired others to not be like her but to be more like them, something like that. Anyways, that's Kinsey, literally. And like, I just think you guys are going to love her. So if you have specific questions, you can send them in for next week. I think she's going to do a Q&A on her stories. So we'll gather all the questions and we're going to answer whatever you want to know, bestie style. I also just want to introduce you guys to her because she is definitely a huge part of just my life. Oz, do you want mama? Hey, Oz, do you want mama or dada to cuddle with you tonight?
Mama.
You want mama or dada to cuddle with you tonight?
Mommy.
Oh, yay! Sorry, you guys. I was just on the phone super quick. Matt was calling me, and Ozzy was saying he wanted me to come home to cuddle with him in bed. Literally, me and Matt lay in his bed with him every night. Not both of us together. Just whoever put him to bed that night. Like, we're such suckers. We literally lay in his crib with him. Matt, my husband, he's almost 6'6". And he lays in Ozzy's crib with him. But, like, there's just something about Ozzy, like, wanting me to cuddle with him every night. Like, no matter how many times he says he wants mama and not dada to cuddle with him, it just, like, you know, just makes you so happy. So I had to, like, put the phone on speaker so you could hear how cute that was. Anyways, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh, just share the pod. Means the world. Oh, and Kinsey. So yeah, next week will be a fun one. We're going to start doing a few more interviews. I just felt like I needed to like really get the hang of things, and I'm still getting the hang of things. Oh my gosh, no promises that it's going to be the most professional interview you've ever heard, but I'm going to do my best and we're going to do more. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to start like diving into that because I feel like I have a lot of cool people in my life that you guys will love to hear from. Also, I don't know why, like, I just feel like right now there's so many people that I know who are just feeling like what they're doing isn't enough, or what, like, they're feeling imposter syndrome, or I don't know. I just feel like it's been going around a lot, and I just think it's easy to get really caught up in the whole, like, grow, make more money, scale your business, boss babe, millionaire, like all these like buzzwords that we hear. And like, of course, sometimes those things can be like so inspiring to us and help inspire us to get to the next level and everything. But I just wanted to remind you, as you are literally right now today, you're doing a great job. And like life goes through ebbs and flows. And I always like to like tell people that there are seasons of sowing and seasons of reaping. And I feel like sometimes the seasons of sowing where we're going around and we're planting the seeds, it doesn't feel like we're maybe doing the best we could or we're not as successful as we could be. But like you have to put in that time. And this applies to anything, to anything in life. I just feel like there's phases of life where you're planting the seeds, and then there's phases of life where you are reaping the benefits. Everything's blooming and you're thriving. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to remind you that like whatever you're doing right now is enough, and just take the pressure off of yourself. Nothing's real. And I know I keep saying that, but like everything, like all that matters is that you are happy and that you feel good, and don't compare yourself to other people, and don't worry about what other people are doing. If all you can do right now is just focus on you and your family and your circle, just do that and know that you're doing a great job. So I just wanted to remind you of that in case you're feeling like you aren't. You are. This week's episode is really, honestly, like as soon as I finished recording, I was like, that was fire. Like this. So this episode is 3/4 of the story that I started at the end of last podcast episode. I'm calling this episode, I got fired from my job and accidentally built an 8-figure empire, because that's what happened. And I really get into the whole nitty gritty on this one. I talk about the actual situation of me getting fired from my first corporate big girl job and how traumatic it truly was. I've never told this story like publicly before, and I've been kind of nervous too, but I'm just at the point where I'm like, this is my story and I can tell my story if I want to. So I'm ready. I'm sharing it. And honestly, yeah, I mean, whether you have a business or you don't or anything, I promise you're going to want to listen to this one. It has all the drama, has all the juicy tea. It has the highs, the lows, all the things. So I talk about getting fired from my job and then kind of the beginning days of Lala. I talk about why I got fired from my job, how I just took the leap to start my business, and the early days and kind of what that looked like, what I did. The first year of Lala, I really talk about kind of what the day-to-day looked like and when I decided to finally just step into my power and fully be me and let that bleed into Lala. Because for a while there, I was trying to kind of figure it out. So it's a great story. Honestly, I'm telling you, it's fire. This is probably my most fire episode ever, and I hope you enjoy. So I just wanted to give you a little intro. I'm really excited to chat with you next week. But enjoy this episode and let me know what you think. Okay, love you. So anyways, I know, like, I don't think a lot of people know that I originally was going to start Lala with a friend. And like when I do tell people that, they're always like so shocked because I think it's just like really unexpected. And so that friend, like, luckily she gave me the push I needed to just get started, because I think that's something that I'm not good at. Once I start something, I'm good at like following through and being consistent. But what I'm not good at is like taking the first step, especially since like I had never considered owning my own business before. I had never considered being like an entrepreneur. Like it was just something, it just didn't sound appealing to me. Like I wanted to, I don't know. And I think times have changed too. Like even in the last, this was like 8-9 years ago now, almost. That's insane. I think it was like 8 years ago. So anyways, I just think even times have changed so much since then, where it's like literally like starting a business. It's like, it used to be like, if you want to start a business, you go to school and you go to business school and you do this and et cetera, et cetera. And like, that just never sounded fun. But now I think it's like, oh, are you good at something? Are you passionate about something? Do you really love something? You can make money doing it. It's just like, I think we just have a completely different mindset around starting a business now. And so I probably would feel differently if times were like they are now back then. Anyways, so I really needed her to like push, give me that push. So originally we started, she like went the next week, she got the license, like she was so on top of it. She got us a business license. She figured out all the things we needed to do. I was able to get us logins to like wholesale accounts with our business license and all the things she got, we started like getting together to like look for inventory that we both agreed on. And we were like getting ready to like purchase. We had decided, okay, we'll get back together next week and we'll buy inventory. Like we'll start buying. We'll both invest $1,000 and then go from there. And I remember she had texted me. Okay, so it was wild because that weekend, I remember it was like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday and Saturday, I kept being like, I don't think I should do this with a friend. Not that it was like anything to do with the friend. My friend is amazing and she's so smart and I love her so much. It was more just like the thought of like having to agree on things that we wanted to sell and not have like complete creative freedom felt really hard. And like ultimately this was my dream and it was my idea. And I think I wanted to do it alone. And so I was stressing all weekend. I was stressing so bad, like about telling her how I was feeling and I didn't know if I could do it. And I was so worried. And the craziest thing happened. I was going to tell her on Sunday, okay? We were supposed to meet on Monday. I woke up to a text from her on Sunday that said, hey, like, I just have to be honest. I'm feeling really overwhelmed with finances right now and I don't think I can swing it. And I'm so sorry, but you should still do it if you want to. And like, I won't be mad. I would be so happy for you. And you should do it. You should follow through and do it. And I have a lot of other things going on right now. And it was like, exhale, like I didn't have to like do that. Like it just happened naturally. And I think it was what was best for both of us at the time. And she had a lot of other things going on. She had just like met her. She had just like was about to get engaged and she was already had her other business. She was doing hair like full time. And anyways, so that was a crazy thing that I feel like I might have manifested. I don't know. But so anyways, she backed out. I started buying inventory on my credit card. My credit card that I had gotten approved for that I was planning on using to buy this said inventory was $3,000. And that's what I was working with, you know? So I started buying inventory. It was so fun. And that's like one of the things that's still fun to this day. And I think it'll always be fun is like when the inventory shows up and you get to open the boxes, even if I know exactly what it is because it's something I designed and have like 15 samples of. It's so fun opening it up and seeing it, pulling it out, looking at it. So it started showing up. It was so fun seeing it and whatever, but I was working my job. Like I was working full time and it just kind of, I kept feeling like, I don't know if I can do it. It feels stressful. I don't even know where to start. Are people even going to care? You know, all the things that people say to themselves before they start a business. And I actually ended up doing a photo shoot. And like when I say I bought inventory, I think I launched my store with like 6 pieces, like 6 individual pieces. So it wasn't a lot at all. And the way that like a boutique works is like you buy things in packs, which makes it really easy in the beginning to invest and start a business because you don't have to buy like hundreds of pieces at all, you know? You get a pack and generally it has 2 smalls, 2 mediums, and 2 larges. And then you try to sell those. And then, you know, if you have good margins, you make money off of them and then you can buy more. You can buy double what you bought last time. And so I had gotten my inventory. I had done like a little photo shoot with a photographer that I knew from my hometown. And my friend Kinsey was always so supportive and she helped me like design a logo and it was so exciting. And then something happened where I just was kind of like, meh. So that was like in November. So it's November, it's December, it's January, and I'm just like not really sure what to do. I'm not sure if I should do it. I don't know when I'll do it. I'm just busy with work, whatever. Okay, so my company, there had been like a little bit of like, people had come forward and kind of like voiced their concerns and kind of like, I just remember we had like a heart to heart with the owner telling her how we felt. And I think she was a little worried that we were all hating our jobs. And so they surprised me with me and some other team members with a ticket to Alt Summit. And Alt Summit is like this business conference retreat that's in Palm Springs. And it was a really big deal back then. Like bloggers went to it and it was really cool. I don't think it's really cool anymore. But maybe if you're starting out, I just feel like it's changed a lot. So I was stoked. I was so excited. I felt really excited about my job. I was glad that my boss cared enough about me that she had wanted to buy me this ticket and take us there and fly us to Palm Springs, and I had never been. And I was feeling really good about my job. I just felt like they cared more than I had ever felt that they cared. And so we go to Palm Springs for this retreat, and I'm there for the company, right? Like I'm taking notes and I'm all the things, but I don't think that the owner realized that this conference, it might have been good for like connecting with other creatives, because most of the people there were small business owners or bloggers. And here we are with our company that was like decently sized at this time, making pretty good money. The company was making pretty good money, like millions. And everyone else was there for themselves or for their own business, okay? So as I'm going to these workshops and these keynote speakers and all of these things, I'm there for the company. I'm taking notes. I'm trying to channel this into like my job and what I'm doing there. And like, it just really wasn't that relatable for my position. And what it was relatable for, what it did inspire me about, was this business that I had put on the back burner. And I mean, I feel like that whole conference was really like, the one thing I took away was like, you are your magic sauce. You are the secret sauce. You are what's going to make your business different. You are what's going to make people want to follow you. Like you being you. It wasn't about trying to be someone else. It wasn't about trying to do what someone else is doing or look how someone else looked. It was you. You were what's going to make yourself be successful. And I'm so grateful for that, because it really did inspire me so much. And I remember I actually remember posting on my personal Instagram while I was there, feeling so freaking inspired. And my caption, I'm just going to find the caption because it like was totally the vibe at the time. Okay. Yep. Here we go. I was reminded this week that what you're good at is your superpower. So embrace that and forget the rest. So that's like kind of the vibe. And this picture is just so funny, but what you're good at is your superpower. And so I kept being reminded of that this trip, that like, I am good at this. I am good at fashion. I am good at like, I have my own eye. Like I like realized that like that was my passion and I really wanted to like get into it. And so it's funny because that was on February 3rd, 2017. And then on February 6th, I had everything ready. I had the Shopify backend ready to go. The pictures were uploaded, everything, and I had just been like sitting on it. And so that Monday, I think I got home on a Saturday. That Monday I got home and I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to post it. And no one might care. No one might even, like, I might not sell anything, but at least I can just like finally say I did it. And I really, really wasn't that worried about my job caring, because like I said, a lot of people were part-time. A lot of people, a lot of us weren't making that much money. And so a lot of people had side gigs. Someone was, had their own business on the side, sewing wedding dresses. Someone was a photographer. I just remember like so many people had these side hustles and we were all just kind of doing what we had to do to pay the bills, you know? And so I really didn't think that much of it, especially since I was honest marketing. And like looking back, I'm like, okay, like now that I have my own business, I get why they felt threatened. I get why it was a big deal. But at the same time, I had worked there for a year and I had put in so much work and sweat and tears and passion. And I had proved that like I was there. Like me launching my business wasn't me being like, I'm going to leave this place. It was me being like, I'm going to do this for me. But like, I'm also feeling really invested in my job right now. I felt like they had made an investment in me with this trip. It meant a lot to me, and I was fully there. I was committed. I just wanted something else. And I was curious if I could make a little bit of money on the side, because my paychecks were about $1,000 every 2 weeks. My husband, Matt, was in school at the time. He was also working part-time, but like once we paid our bills, we had no money left. We had credit cards. Like we were just like skating along. You know what I mean? So anyways, so I launched, and I'll read this post to you. Really exciting news flash, and it's so funny to read this. Anyways, it's just a picture of me and one of the things I sold, and you could say that I'm still very true to my style, because the sweatshirt, it's like a sweatshirt, and it has all these holes all over it. It's like cut up and distressed with like a raw hem. I'm wearing a suede baseball hat. Slay. And I just said, my little passion project dressed in Lala is now live. If you're like me, it hasn't been easy to find edgy clothes. But guess what? Rad girls deserve rad clothes. Lala is totally an extension of who I am, and I hope you guys love it as much as I do. We have very limited quantities, so if you love something, grab it up fast. Thanks for the support. It means the world. So that's just cute. So I did that. I remember that night I had a few orders come in. It was so exciting. And if you have a store, if you have Shopify, you know that like cha-ching that comes in on your phone is like just the best sound. It's so fun. So I post that. I get some orders that night. I'm feeling on top of the world. I'm so excited. I'm excited to go to work the next day. I'm excited to talk about it with my coworkers, and I just like have a pep in my step. I also that night had texted my boss, and I said, hey, like I want to meet with you in the morning, just kind of explain what's going on. And I just want you to know, like, I'm here for the long run. You have nothing to worry about. Because she followed me on Instagram, and I just wanted her to know, like, it was nothing to worry about. And she never responded. The next day I go to work. It's kind of weird. She doesn't really talk to me. It kind of feels like people are tiptoeing around me. I feel the energy. It feels weird. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to get fired? This is so weird. And like, no one's saying anything about it. I feel like normally it would be like, you see your friend from work post something, you ask them about it. Like if I see one of my employees post something, I would talk to them about it and ask how it went. And I don't know. So it was really weird. And I remember that night I hung out with Kinsey, my best friend, and we went to Target, and we were just like roaming the aisles. And I remember I was like gonna buy some hairspray, and I wanted like some shoes or something. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this back, because I have a weird feeling. Like I feel like I'm gonna get fired tomorrow or something. Like it was like, once I felt the vibe, I was like, oh, okay. So you guys, I go to work the next morning, and my boss still hadn't responded to me. And it was unlike her, and I just was like feeling weird about it. So I was like, I'm going to talk to her about it, like reassure her, no biggie. I'm here. Like I'm here for the long haul. I'm here. And I go into work. The HR person comes into my office and says, hey, Lex, can we talk to you in the boss's office for a second? And I was like, okay. And I was like, do I need to bring a notebook? Like, do I need to bring my laptop? And she was like, no, you're good. Like, you can just come. So I go in. It's a semicircle of people. The owner's there. Her husband's there. HR is there. At this point, there was a head of marketing director. So it was kind of like my boss. She was in there. And a lawyer was in there. Their lawyer, who was her brother-in-law. Like I said, lots of like family nepotism, weird stuff. And you guys, the next like however long I was in there, 30 minutes, an hour, I don't know, because it was so bad. It was like one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. Like I said, I had worked at this company for like almost a year now. I had worked so damn hard. I was in it. It might not have been like my passion, but like I was in it at this point. I was in it the whole time, honestly. I just had to kind of convince myself like, it's okay. Like, this is good. Like, it doesn't have to be like my passion. I don't have to be like obsessed with the product we're selling. Like, I'm lucky to have this job. I'm excited. I kept like doing like these like pep talks with myself, you know? And I had been honest. I had been loyal. Like, that's so big for me. I am like, if you are not loyal to me, I will cut you out so quick. Like, I had like committed myself to her and she knew it. I would have done anything. I would have bent over backwards, and I did constantly. So anyways, I go in and I sit down and like, it's honestly kind of a blur. But basically what happens over the next little bit is the lawyer talks. The owner doesn't even talk to me. And he's like, Lex, like very condescending, Lex, we know that you started a business and we have reason to believe that you are using our business finances and our business license for you to be running your business. And I was like, what? Like, what? It was so shocking. Like I had said, I had a business license. I applied for all these like logins with my business license. I paid for them. I was buying my inventory with a credit card with money I didn't have. Like, I was taking a risk on myself. Like, I would have never done that. And that's what hurt more than anything. Like, it's fine if she felt betrayed by me. Like, I get it now. Like, I understand that I could have done things differently. And maybe I probably should have talked to her before, but like, I was young, I was dumb, I hadn't signed anything. I didn't think it was a big deal. I worked so hard for them. I knew that they knew my character, they knew who I was. And so hearing these things and these like assumptions about my character when I had put in so much to this company and this woman, like, crushed me. And it was like, it caught me so off guard, and it just like went downhill from there. It was like assumptions, and like, he was like, you know, this is against the law, and we're printing out all of our bank statements as we speak. Our accountant is going over everything with a fine-tooth comb to make sure. And it was just like, I couldn't even believe it was real, you guys. I couldn't believe that they would assume those things about me. I thought they all had known me at this point. They assumed, so in this meeting, and I tried to stick up for myself, but like, I was sobbing. I couldn't even breathe. I couldn't even talk. I was so caught off guard by these like assumptions. It was just crazy. And that's like one of my biggest regrets, is I really wish I could have stood up for myself better, because it was just like me being like, no, I would never do that. And just like crying. And then like they would throw out another thing at me, another thing. And it felt so intimidating having these 6 people who were older than me and, you know, higher up than me at this company, just sitting there. People that loved me, people I was friends with, not, you know, not the lawyer, not the owner, not her husband, like, but like people I had like really had like deep connections with, who like knew me. This HR woman, my director, like, they knew me, and they knew what kind of person I was. And they just sat there and they listened and they watched. And that hurt so much. I mean, I understand that they weren't in a position, but I think that they could have said something. I think they could have said like, okay, I think you got your point across on that. Like, I don't know. And it was just like, I was just sitting there sobbing in this chair. And it got to the point where they said, we want 3 things from you. They ended the meeting with this. We want 3 things from you. We want you to turn all your social media private, and we want you, including my new little business Instagram, which at this point was my only source of income after getting fired, that I had made, you know, $200 off of up to this point. We want you to turn all your social media private, including your new business page. And on top of that, we want you to remove anyone connected to, I just almost said the company name, connected to this company. We want you to remove them from following you. You need to either block them or delete them. We don't want them following what you're doing. Number 2, you have to write up an email that we're going to send out to our whole body of reps who sell our brand. And you're going to write up an email and you're going to say that you left the company to start your passion project. And you're going to tell them why you left, and that's why. And 3rd, we want you to announce on all your social media that you're no longer with the company because you decided to leave and start your passion project. And they kept using the words passion project, like I had used in that caption, in like a really condescending way. Almost like just like making fun of it over and over and over. And I'm really proud of myself, because that's the one time I did stick up for myself. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not writing an email. I'm not posting on my social media. You can tell them the truth. Like, and I don't think they ever did. I know that they ended up just saying like, hey, just heads up, Lex, our marketing manager, left to pursue her dreams. And it was just like, it was upset me so much because like they were like turning it back on me. It was like gaslighting, like 101. You know what I mean? And they kept saying in this meeting, we know that you're trying to take our reps. We know that you're trying to take our audience. And I was like, trust me, I'm not trying to take your audience. These clothes are ugly as hell. And I'm not selling anything similar. And to be honest, even if I loved the clothes, I wouldn't have sold anything similar because that's not the kind of person I am. I tried specifically to stay in my like little lane of like very like my style of things and like not have any crossover. And I told them, I said, I really just like thought I would sell like a lot of graphic tees and like maybe some shoes or something. And the owner says, you know that I wanted to sell graphic tees sometime. And I was like, no, I didn't. You say that about everything. You know what I mean? So anyways, I get towards the end of this meeting that just keeps dragging on, and they just keep like spinning out all these like insane, absurd accusations. I say, okay, so are we done here? Can I leave? Because I'm done. And they say, yeah, you can go. And I'm still crying. My face is red. I have makeup everywhere. And I go into my office. I start gathering my things. The HR woman follows me out, puts her hand on my back, doesn't let me leave her sight, won't let me talk to anybody in my office who's on my team, who I've worked with for a year now, who've like I've become really close with. We've built like amazing things together. Has her hand on my back, puts her hand on my back as I'm opening my drawers and gathering things. And she says, you know what, we'll get this together for you and you can come pick it up another time. And I'm just like, okay. So I just grab my purse. She walks me out the front door. I walk past some other people that I've worked with now for the past year. They can clearly tell I've been crying. One of them even is like, Lex, are you okay? And she won't let this person talk to me. She has her hand on my back. She walks me out to the parking lot. As I get closer to my car, I kind of like shrug my shoulder to like get her away from me, and I get in my car and I leave. And that was that. And it was so insane. It was so traumatic, and it did not need to be handled like that. And I don't know why it was handled like that. And I think that the owner had a lot of her own trauma, and I also think she was projecting a lot on me because come to find out, the longer I worked there, I learned the ins and outs of her business, and she had done what she was assuming I had done. Certain things. I don't think she was like, stealing money or anything like that, but like essentially like trying to take customers and things like that. I think she had kind of done that. And so I just really think that like a lot of it was like trauma / projecting on me, which just like we aren't the same. We are different humans. And anyways, so all of that, which I've never really talked about, I felt so much shame. Getting fired from a job doesn't feel good. And anyone who's done it can tell you. And like, I didn't file for unemployment. I wanted nothing to do with that company. I wanted nothing from them. I didn't want to be connected to them. I didn't want the energy. I was done. And if one thing had felt truer than ever after this is I had known the whole time. I needed to trust my gut. It wasn't good. It wasn't right. It wasn't in alignment. And I kept having to talk myself into it being right over and over and over again because of so many things. I went to college. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on a degree to get me into this job. Just a lot of talking myself into it when I knew deep down in my soul it wasn't right. And so if there was one thing that I knew was true after getting fired and driving away sobbing and calling Matt and telling him, and oh my gosh, it was just, I don't ever want to work for someone like that ever again. And so far, 1 out of 1 out of college, my first real job, that's what I had gotten. And I did not want to risk it again. I did not want to risk working for someone that psychotic ever again. that toxic. And so that was the beginning of Lala, this cute little baby thing that I had launched for fun. All of a sudden, I decided was going to be it. There was no plan B. That was my plan A, except for I did have a plan B. I told Matt, my husband, after honestly, it took me a week to gather my composure. But I will say that within that week, after a couple of days, I realized I would rather be homeless on the street than work there. There is no amount of money. I could have been making $100,000 a year and it wasn't worth it. Being gone and being out of it and looking in, I realized I was glad I got fired. And it's so funny, and life works out so magically, because I would have never quit that job on my own, right? How many times did I have to talk myself into staying, talk myself into it being right? And I would have never quit. Up until that point in my life, I had always done the safe thing. I had always done what I was supposed to do. I'd always followed the rules. And that job was the safe thing. It was the job that paid the bills, and leaving it, starting my own business, fully relying on my own business, I would have never done it because it wasn't the smart thing to do. And so I look back and I'm I manifested. It took a few years for me to realize this, but I'm I manifested getting fired. My soul knew that if I had the choice, I would have never quit, because I would have, I just wouldn't have. It wasn't who I was at the time. I had never taken risks like that. I was always trying to play it safe, do what I was supposed to do, follow the rules. And so I look back now and I manifested it. I would have never been I would never have gotten to where I am today if I hadn't been fired, because here's what happened. I told Matt, listen, I know my job is our sole income right now. And Matt was so upset too. And he posted the really sweetest thing ever. And actually, I want to find it and read it to you guys on Facebook. And here's the thing too, after I had left and been fired, I got texts from everybody. What happened? And I got texts from the my director saying I'm so sorry, and if you need a letter of recommendation, I will write you the most glowing letter of recommendation that you could ever imagine for another job. And that meant a lot to me that these people were reaching out. But at the same time, it really hurt that they didn't stick up for me. Something that really, really hurt was the HR lady. We had become close, and not close, but we had these long weekend work sessions together at these events for these reps. And I felt we had become close, and she knew who I was. I knew who she was, and clearly not. But one of the weirdest things ever about that is she called me on May 24th, 2019, almost 2 years later. And this is so crazy. Basically, she just called. I never called her back, and I never answered her because I just was done with that. 2 years into it, you know what I mean? But she was I just wanted to call and reach out and chat with you about everything that happened a few years ago and apologize. And anyways, I'm glad that she realized that. But at that point, I was so over it. 2 years. Come on. You saw everything that you were in that room. You felt how it felt anyways, I need to not hold a grudge. And I actually don't anymore. I actually don't even hold a grudge against the owner. I do feel everyone's doing the best they can. And literally just a few years ago, that quote bugged me so bad. Anytime I read a little Pinteresty quote that said, you did the best you could. You did the best you could today, and you'll do better tomorrow, or blah, blah, blah. I would say, no, I didn't. I didn't do the best I did. I didn't do the best I could have eaten better. I could have gone on a walk. I could have walked my dogs. I could have, I always was so hard on myself. And until I really felt what depression felt and went through postpartum, I think I kind of eased up on myself. And I really do think that we're all doing the best we can with what we've been given. And what I mean with what we've been given is just like our life experiences and how we handle things, because we don't know better until we know better. So I can happily say 7 years into Lala. Wait, is Lala 7 or 6? Am I for real right now? I'm so sorry. My sweet little angel baby. I don't even remember her birthday. Okay, 6. We just turned 6. I can say 6 years in that I'm okay. And I lived in fear for years that I would see the owner somewhere. I had the most insane anxiety after that. Truly, like, I had PTSD from the whole experience, and I just prayed I would never see her anywhere. And I never did. But anyways, I want to read you guys what Matt wrote, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about that situation. Okay, it's going to be a little ways down. Okay, here we go. This was really sweet. He said, I would like to take this time publicly to thank Lexi Nevin for being the most incredible woman I know. Today, she was fired from her job for pursuing her dreams. There are so many things I have wanted to say in anger about her former company and boss, but they honestly aren't even worth my time. And I guess I believe in the fact that love trumps hate. Instead, I would like to declare that I couldn't be more proud of my wife for believing in herself and for chasing her own dreams. I love you, Lex, and I will support you chasing those dreams no matter where it takes us or what happens to us along the way. I am with you 100%. So sweet. Anyways, so yeah, it was just a lot. So I told Matt that to give me, the cool part is we had just filed our taxes and we were getting a refund of like $3,000 something, I think, which like that's a lot of money, you know, especially when you don't have a job. And I told Matt, like, listen, give me 3 months. We can live off that money for 3 months. And at the time, I mean, our mortgage was like $600 in our little townhouse that was like leaning to the side. It was so old. But I said, give me 3 months. We have enough money to last us that long. And if I don't make it work, if I can't make what I was making at my job, I'll go get another job. Just give me 3 months. And he was like, okay, like, you know, let's see what happens, like what we can do. And yeah, I don't know. I just got chills. Like, this is my own story and I've told it a million times, but you guys, that was what I needed to go for it. And so it lit a fire under my butt. I was like fired up and ready to go. A couple of things had to happen in order for me to start making money with Lala, right? And so I did the math. I did the math to figure out exactly how much I needed to sell every day to make what I was making at my job before. And if you did the math, I mean, just like strictly to live off of, right? This wasn't like subtracting taxes or anything, because I was just trying to get by at that time. $1,000 every 2 weeks, I had to make like roughly $100 a day. And I thought I could do it. And so this is the part of the story. And I was just telling my little brother this. I was telling him, he was telling me this weekend, like he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. He is trying to figure out what to like major in and all of that. And he's like, well, I thought about like doing this because it pays a lot, but then like this is better because you have a better schedule. And I was like, well, why don't you start your own business? Like, you would have to do this and this, but like if you like doing this, you could do that. And he was like, I wouldn't do that. Like, that's so embarrassing. And it was like something silly too, where he was like saying he wouldn't want to like have to talk to people and let people he knows tell people what he's doing and blah, blah, blah. I don't remember, to try to like get work. He was like, I would never do that. That's so embarrassing. And I was like, because he has also thought about starting his own business, right? He's like seen what we've been able to do with Lala. And I said, rule number 1 to starting a business, you have to put your ego aside. You do. You can't have an ego. And you might be like easy for you to say, like you're 6 years in and you have, you know, a big company and all these employees. Guess what? You know how that girl was making that $100 minimum every single day during those 3 months when I was just trying to make it happen? She was hustling. She had no ego. I was doing everything I could possibly do to make money and sell these clothes. I made a Facebook group. I posted in this Facebook group, and I would go live in there, and I would straight up hustle. I would go live on my own Facebook page. Do you guys understand how embarrassing that was? Showing what I was selling, holding it up, saying how many I had of each. I had never wanted to be I was never good at being like salesy. I always said that was like my worst job, but I had to put my ego aside. Obviously I liked the clothes, but I needed to make money. I needed to make it happen. I remember getting invited to like little pop-up shops in the beginning. And this is probably part of the reason why I like don't want anything to do with anything like that anymore. I have a little bit of PTSD, but I would go to these pop-ups, and I remember loading all my inventory into my car. I got a big poster board with my logo laminated, and I would tape it up on the clothing rack. And I would go to these things, and sometimes 5 people would show up. And if I was lucky, one person would buy something. I went to pop-ups. I did Facebook Lives. Obviously, I was posting on Lala's Instagram, which maybe at a certain point had like 1,000 followers, maybe a couple months in. But in the beginning, when you have a couple hundred followers, it's really hard to stay motivated, to feel like anyone's even paying attention. And I was constantly posting on my own social media, on my own Instagram. And I remember constantly being like, people are probably getting so annoyed of this. People are probably getting so sick of me posting about my business. But if it brings me a sale, that's fine. That's like all that matters. Got to pay the bills, yo. And so it just like went, all of those things, being consistent, putting my ego aside, just putting my head down and getting to work. And within that first month, I had been able to make, I think it was like about $3,000. I remember one day I got on, I did a Facebook Live. People were really excited about this shirt. And if you remember this time, it's like so cute to think about 6 years ago, but it was like a t-shirt that had the cutout. So it had like a choker going across, and then it had like a V cutout, kind of like over your chest. And I remember people were really excited about this shirt. And I got on and I did Facebook Live. I ordered more than I had ever ordered. Instead of having 6, I think I had 18. I had 24, something like that. And I got on and I hustled so hard to sell those shirts. And I remember at the end of my Facebook Live, I had made $500. $500. And I remember thinking, wow, I just made $500 in 2 hours. I am such a baller. I remember going to dinner and the movie that night with my friends and just being like, it's on me. Like, I got this. And I think over time, showing up for myself, being consistent, really reframing your mindset. Instead of looking at my followers and thinking, I only have 500 followers, thinking, those are 500 people who could potentially buy something. I've never had 500 orders in a month. Like, how cool would that be? I think constantly reframing things to, instead of being against you, working for you. And I think just looking at things in a way you haven't before. And I think that doing that, like I said, your mind doesn't know what's possible until you show it what's possible. And so doing those things, showing up for yourself, being consistent, being grateful for everything you have, for however many 100 followers you have, for however many 9 people that are watching your Facebook Live, for getting one DM asking about something. I remember getting a DM. I remember whenever I got a DM, hey, like, what size should I get in this? Or how would this work? And just responding and like really talking to that customer and really making sure they get the right size. And like, I can ship it out for you today. Like, if you decide you want to get it, let me know. Like, I'm happy to get it out quickly. I remember, what is going on with my hair? I remember for that first year, anytime I would get an order, my phone cha-chinged. I would go upstairs to our little tiny guest bedroom that I had converted into my shop. and I would ship up that order and I would head to the post office and I would drop it off. I was so excited and grateful for every single thing. This is when I started listening to You're a Badass at Making Money. That is one of my biggest tips when you are trying to change your mindset about money. Whether you're starting a business, whether you're not, whether you're trying to be more abundant, maybe you were raised in a family that was very like scarcity, a very big scarcity mindset, which I think a lot of us were. You have to read that book, or better yet, listen to it on Audible, because that book changed my life. It's so inspiring. The author, Jen Sincero, she also wrote You're a Badass, which I didn't read that one all the way. I thought it was kind of boring, but You're a Badass at Making Money. I bear my testimony, guys. It's so good. She's so inspiring. She was broke most of her life until her, I want to say like late 40s. She was living on friends' couches, going from house to house, asking her parents for money, just like kind of like tortured artist energy, like trying to make it work, but I was just never working. And it's kind of her telling her exact story, and she narrates it, and it's so good. And she went from being broke to being a millionaire, New York Times bestselling author, and just so successful. And I think it's really cool to hear a story where there's no timeline. Like there's not a specific timeline you have to follow. And you can wake up any day and decide to make something happen. And that's kind of what happened with her. So I definitely recommend that book. But so this is when I listened to that book, I kind of started meditating. I kind of started like trying to get more in this abundance mindset, because like I was in a scarcity mindset. I had been fired from my job. I was trying to pay the bills. Like I was trying to make this work. But slowly, over time, that changed. And I was getting more abundant. And I remember being able to go on a trip to California with my family. My little sister and my little brother were still, my sister was like in high school. My little brother was in middle school, and they were on spring break. And I remember being like, this is so cool. I can just like go on a trip whenever I want. Like at a 9 to 5, you have to like request time off, and like you generally only get 2 weeks, and you have to like, prepare and whatever. And also whenever I had taken time off at my job, I wasn't actually like feeling like I got time off. People were constantly talking to me. I was posting on social, making sure everything was going well. So it was so cool to go on a trip with my family, and just being able to jet set, AKA drive down, road trip with my family to California. The thing that sucked is Matt still had his job and he was still in school, so he couldn't come with me. But I remember going with them. They went to like Huntington Beach, and I remember we went to San Diego. We went to San Diego, like Encinitas area. And I remember sitting on the beach, hearing my phone cha-ching here and there. And I remember that day being at the beach with my family, I had made $300 like throughout that day. And I remember being like, you guys, like I remember sitting in the sand being like, guys, I made $300 while we were here. And like my parents being like, that's so cool. Like, that's awesome. And my siblings being like, are you kidding me? Like, we just were like, what is this life? And I was like, I'm so rich. I just made $300 sitting on the beach. And like, I think believing in these things and being proud of myself, be proud of yourself every single step. One order that day, hell yeah, go ship that order. Be excited about that order. Send love to that customer. I remember like trying to like get in the mindset of whenever an order popped up on my phone and it would say the name, I would read it out loud and say thank you. And that might sound like woo-boo and crazy, but like I'm telling you, energy is real. And that being open to that exchange of energy and having gratitude all the time, you guys, it gets you far. It's so magnetic and magic. And so I would see, say it said like Brooke Taylor placed an order. I would be like, thank you, Brooke Taylor. And then I would go up and ship their order. So I feel like the first year was just a lot of that. And I think something I learned that year was sorry, I was just responding to a message. I think something I learned that year was the only person you can really rely on is yourself. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in like a really empowering way. And I was all in and I was making it work. And being consistent and betting on yourself and showing up, even if you don't know if anything will come from it, it really builds your confidence in yourself. And so slowly over time, I became more confident and I went to events and I networked and I started to meet more people and I started to send my things to people and people started posting about them. And you have to be your own hype girl. You have to be the own hype person for your brand. And it might take a second, but people catch on. And I remember that there's like a stat that I really, really like would say over and over to just remind myself, but it's something like if you do something for 2 years straight, right? If you do something for like 600 days, it's inevitable that you're going to have success, but you have to be consistent. And so I kept telling myself that. And I didn't miss a day. I didn't miss a single day of posting on my Instagram stories or my feed for probably 4 years straight. Was I crazy? Was I like super anal about my brand and like being consistent? Yes. Did me and Matt get in fights because we would be at dinner together or we would go to a movie and I'd say, sorry, I have a restock. I have to post about it because I would have announced earlier that day that it was restocking at 7. There might not have been anyone that cared, but I said it was going to happen. And so I was going to make sure it happened. Yeah, it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies, but I think just like committing to myself, to my brand, and to my customers and being consistent about it, that builds trust in your customers and trust in yourself. And I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, Abby. Hold on. I'm going to text you back right now. Anyways, that first year, I don't remember where I was with that thought, but that first year was a lot of betting on myself, being unsure of what I was doing, but showing up anyways. Oh, and this is what I was going to say. One of my favorite things also that I would tell myself all the time is if you want people to treat this like a business, you have to treat it like a business. And so that's kind of where me being consistent no matter what and doing drops on the same day no matter what and just like building that trust with my customer base was so important because how could I expect anybody else to give me their money for this product if I wasn't treating it like a business that they could trust also? I can't just show up willy-nilly here and there whenever I want and expect people to just like throw their money at me for these things. You have to build that trust. They say people need to see things 7 times or whatever before they're willing to buy it. That's kind of true. Not always. Sometimes it's an immediate hell yes, but we see that with ads. Like people will see the same ad. This happens to me too. I'll see an ad a few times. I click on it. It's cute. Meh, exit out. Eventually you swipe up and you buy it because there's just something about it. And so that's something I just so believe in the beginning of a business. You can't expect anybody else to treat your business like a business unless you treat it like a business. They're not just going to give you their credit cards. They're not just going to give you money. They don't know if you're going to ship this item. They don't know. So that even goes down to like me shipping the order that same day if I could. I was so like crazy about that. But like I wanted people to know like this was legit. They could rely on me and it was going to work. Some things that also happened that first year were me being unsure of myself, me randomly ordering something maybe because I saw that another boutique was selling it a lot and then it wouldn't sell well for me. I've talked about this before, but I remember one time posting in our Facebook group, which people still try to join like all the time, but unfortunately she is out of business right now. I eventually learned, I think Facebook groups kind of died in general. They were like a big thing back then when people do lives and sell, but I also realized that I was wasting my energy being spread across all these different social media platforms. Because at the time, that's what people were saying. They were saying, make sure you're on Instagram, make sure you're on Facebook, make sure you have a Facebook page, make sure you have a Twitter. And all the things were popping up, even have a Snapchat, like all the things were going on back then. And I think I eventually was like, you know what? I am going to put all my eggs in one basket because I personally am one human and I don't have the capacity to spread myself across all these social platforms. And this is where I'm hanging out. This is where my person is hanging out. And this is where I've seen the most success. So once I like fully like dived into that too, it really made a big difference. But, so I would see what other boutiques were selling and I would try to sell it. And I remember posting this one dress or something in my Facebook group saying like, hey, do you guys like this? Should we get it? And everyone was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Yes, I want one. And I was like, okay, cool. So I remember ordering it. And then when it came, I posted, hey guys, the dress is here. Here's a link to buy it. If you were interested, like we only have 6 or however many I ordered, and crickets. No one bought the damn dress. And so also like that taught me another lesson of like, sometimes people say like, you need to ask your customer what they want. I think your customer is telling you what they want by already showing interest in your product. Like if they've already found you, if someone's already found Lala, they're interested in clothing. I just have to show them what they didn't know they needed when it comes to clothing. And I think that's part of the magic of Lala. Is it's not that I'm not interested in what the customer wants, but I think people like to be shocked and they like to be surprised. And I know what my customer likes, and I am going to lean into that and create something that they didn't even know that they needed so bad. And so anyways, I disagree with that where you need to ask your customer what they want and then give it to them, because anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. You can do that. You can buy something wholesale from Alibaba or whatever the crap and sell it on Amazon, and there you go. But that's not going to make you stand out. And anyway, so that first year I was going through the comparison game, seeing what other people were doing, what other people were selling, kind of like swerving in and out. Like, am I going to be edgy? Am I going to be boho? Like, what's my vibe? Being scared to swear on my captions, instead of saying saying we, to try to sound more legit. It was me. It was only me back then. And so it was just, I think that's part of the beauty, right? Like kind of the hiccups and figuring things out. And I remember I went to this little business conference, this like day conference, and I had invested quite a bit of money in it at the time. It was probably like $500 or so. And I left feeling so inspired. At this point, I had dyed my hair pink. I had found this most amazing like rainbow striped sweater. And you have to remember, this was 6 years ago. So this was like new. This was like not a common thing. And I felt like I was finally kind of stepping into my own groove. I had started working with a photographer. I felt like we jived really well. I couldn't pay her, but we were doing trade. We had figured it out. Up until that point, my husband had been taking pictures for me on my iPhone. And that was also a point of contention. Like on Sunday, we would go take pictures on my phone and it would always end in me like being like, are you dumb? Like, these are the worst angles I've ever seen. Like, why would you think this is a good idea? And him being like, I told you I'm not going to do this again. Stop making me do this. It was just like constantly a thing. And I think that's also like still a thing. Are we all like that? Our husbands take the worst pictures of us. Like, what? Anyways, so we were jiving. We were like, I was able to like put the brand, explain the vibe I wanted for the brand through these photos and through the styling. I started modeling the clothes mainly because I didn't have to pay myself, because I had tried to do like models and stuff and it just felt like it was too much at that time. I couldn't pay them. I couldn't I couldn't do it all. So I started modeling, which I think ended up working out really well for me because then people got to know me. It wasn't we shipping the orders. It wasn't we hope you have a good weekend. It was me, yo. It was just me. And I think like the honesty, I think showing up, I think stepping into who I wanted to be, regardless of if people were going to like it or not. That's when like the magic started to happen. That's when the orders started to come through. That's when people had caught on that like, yo, this, I don't know why I keep saying yo, but like this business is legit. This girl is like doing something different. She We can always count on her dropping something new on Friday. And I wasn't doing like huge collections. I think that a lot of businesses they like kind of get in over their heads by wanting to drop like a collection every Friday or whatever day it is that they do collections or new arrivals, because that's what big boutiques are doing. And like, I just want to tell you, you don't have to do that, and you shouldn't do that. The smartest thing you can do is sell things as you get them. Buy something, market it, sell it, keep showing it, style it, build hype, sell out, sell most of it, take the money you made. Now you can buy 2 packs. Focus on those 2 packs of items, sell them, market them, hype them, blah, blah, blah. Now you can buy 4 packs or whatever. Like, you have to like take it step by step. You cannot get in over your head. The worst thing you can do is have too much inventory and then you're stuck. You can't buy anything else. It's not moving. The energy is stagnant. I feel like it attaches itself to the clothes. If you're not excited about them, it's a whole thing. But I remember finally being like, okay, I can do my own thing. Like, I don't have to do what other people are doing, and I can swear. And like, I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to be for everybody. It was the era of people starting a boutique and their bio saying clothes made for every woman, or clothes for the contemporary woman, or whatever it was. And it was like, what does that even mean? Every woman doesn't want to wear the same thing. And so I started to realize, I don't want to be for everybody. I want to be polarizing. I want you to either love it or not want anything to do with it. And so I slowly was getting in my groove. And I think being really, really confident in what you're doing, and then also like being really passionate about what you're selling. We've talked about this before, right? But like really, really loving what you're selling. When it shows up, you got to keep one because it's so freaking cute. All of these things, all of this energy together is the magic. And I remember after that retreat and just feeling like pretty confident in what I was doing. I thought that kind of I had found my groove. I was making money. And actually, like, after all the hustling, and this is really cool, I ended up making over my sales ended up being over $100,000 that first year. And I was like shocked. I was like, big baller status. And I was so proud of myself. And I think that that's something too, that like something weird has happened where people like get annoyed if people are proud of themselves, or if they flex on maybe something they worked really hard for, like a house or a car or whatever they worked really hard for, and they're showing it because they're really proud of it, and people get annoyed and think they're bragging or they're flexing or they're, are you kidding me? My first year in business, I was so excited and inspired when people who were doing something similar to what I was doing, whether it was selling clothes or just had their own business, were like betting on themselves and doing it. Nothing inspired me more than them showing me what was possible. They might have been way ahead of me in my timeline, in my story of my, my income, where I was at on my entrepreneurial journey or whatever, but they were showing me what was possible, and seeing that someone like me could build something so cool and build a beautiful life for them and their family, and to feel content and comfortable and safe and abundant. That inspired me. And I don't think I would have been able to grow Lala like I did in that first year without having these expanders to look to, and seeing that people like me, they quit their job, they risked it all. They put everything into what they were doing, and it paid off. It paid off in a big way. And so anyways, I think that's something that gets really construed. And I think a lot of the time people are projecting on each other. Like if you're getting annoyed that someone is showing off or flexing, then you might want to check yourself. Because if someone worked really hard for that and they're proud of it, why wouldn't you be excited for them? And why wouldn't you be inspired by them? That's something that always throws me off. When someone else is like intimidated by someone else's success, or it like makes them upset or something, I'm always like, wait, what? That should inspire you. I love a woman building something, showing me what is possible. It opens up your mind and you can just keep going bigger and bigger and further. And it's just amazing. So anyways, if you're hating on people being proud of what they built, I suggest you look into yourself. And maybe you want to build something for yourself. And maybe you don't believe you're capable of it, but I promise you are if you actually go for it. So anyways, I'm going to end this episode with this quote that I ended up posting. And it's really cute to look at the date because I had launched Lala in February and I posted this quote in December. So it had almost been a year and I was just feeling really proud of myself. I was feeling really confident in what I was doing and that I was doing what I was meant to do. And I had really learned after like trying to do what other people were doing and trying to sell what I thought would be a bestseller and whatever, I had learned that what was going to make my store different and what was going to make me stand out was me. And I needed to stop trying to be what other people were in order to be successful. And I remember posting this quote and being really nervous about it, being really nervous that people might be offended or I don't know. I didn't know what I thought. It says, I posted this on Dressed in Lala's feed. Don't dumb your shit down to match what everyone else is doing. And then I wrote in the caption, Lala ladies to the front. Keep doing your thing your way because it makes you rad and it adds good to the world. And I remember this post got 534 likes, 36 comments. And to me, 10 months into my business, this was all I needed to know that I was on the right path. Getting this feedback, but also even if I didn't get feedback, but the way I felt when I posted this, and like the like exhale and like weight off my chest to just finally do what I wanted to do, it was exhilarating. And I just remember being like, let's do this thing. There's so many like cute little stories along the way that we can get into. One of the stories I'd love to get into, I want to bring Kinsey on the podcast, hopefully next week, maybe if she's in town. But I want to talk about like the beginnings of our business and just kind of how that looked because we both started our businesses around the same time and like left our jobs, and she left her job. I was fired. And just kind of what that looked like, because right after I got fired, a week or two later was Magic, which is this huge fashion trade show where boutique owners go. And that's like a fun story I could tell you about how I had no money and I couldn't go and Kinsey forced us. And there's another cool like manifestation story that happened there. So I would love to like get into the nitty gritty. And if this is just like a year zoomed out looking at my first year of business. So I would love to talk more about it. If there's questions you have or there's things you're wondering about or like very, very specific details, like let's get into it. We can totally do a business Q&A episode. I would love to help you. I would love to be that expander for you. If you don't have someone right now, I have felt really uncomfortable kind of sharing what I've built. I've talked about like, you know, Lala and how many employees I have and how insane it's been. But like in 6 years, I've built an 8-figure business, you guys. That girl who sat in that room getting fired, bawling her eyes out, being questioned about her character and everything about who she was, she built an 8-figure business. And so I think I'm going to name this episode how I got fired and accidentally built an 8-figure business, because that's kind of what happened. Yeah, I would love to be that expander for you. If you don't have someone, I'd love to show you what's possible. And I'm ready to like step back from the curtain of being like shy or not wanting to like brag or flex, because if I can inspire you to chase your dreams and do the thing and show you what's possible, you damn well know I'm going to do it, because the world needs your magic, baby. Trademarked, Lala. But I believe it so much. The world needs your magic. And if I can inspire you to start putting your magic out there and believing in yourself, let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, I will talk to you guys next week, and I'm so excited for you no matter what you're doing right now, just like right as you are right now, be proud of yourself. And if anything, I just want this to remind you to just step into who you are. Don't worry anymore what anyone's thinking. Stop trying to blend in. Stop trying to be someone else. The world needs you doing your thing, whatever that is, whether it's being a mother, a wife, a business owner, a friend, a sister. The world needs you exactly as you are, being exactly who you are, not anyone else. Okay, I love you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye.